Hello and welcome back to Tim Rudy Rides and Motorbikes. I'm Tim in this helmet, and that is a motorbike. Yes, it's the Aprilia Tuono V4 Non-factory. I rode the Tuono V4 factory last year and I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. I've always wanted to buy one of these, but it just didn't feel as exciting on the road as the Super Duke R, and I wanted to give the non-factory version a chance because 2021, when this version of the non-factory came out, just the Tuono V4, it's actually quite different to the factory. It's a more relaxed riding position. It's got a screen, you can get panniers for it, so it's got more of a sports touring vibe. So I wanted to take it for a ride and just live with it for a week to find out if this is actually a slightly better bike. Now, technically, I guess maybe this one isn't a super naked because it's more relaxed and it's got a screen. But it does still have the most important thing, which is the heart of a Tuono. It's still got the same... It's still got the same 173 horsepower V4, and yeah, this is one of the all-time great road engines in terms of noise, performance, tractability and smoothness. This, after getting off my KTM, which I've just left at Aprilia's headquarters, this feels like I'm riding a piece of butter which has been inserted into a snake. It just feels so smooth. It also feels about twice as fast as my KTM, which isn't exactly slow. Yeah, what I am liking though is the riding position. It's that was my first impression when I got on this about 5 miles ago. It is reasonably extreme. Like, coming from an adventure bike, I had to keep picking my feet up a bit more, until they were near my hips to actually find the pegs. But that said, the pegs on this are lower than on the factory, so yeah, it's not a completely sanitized riding experience, and you're still quite leant forward, so much my GoPro is basically at my nose. Apologies for that. But my knees lock into the tank really nicely, and I already feel like I could do big miles on this. So I am about to get on the motorway back to Surrey, but I wanted to do some twisty roads first to give me a chance to feel the need for a chicken sandwich, mozzarella dippers, maybe a Coke. The handling, to me, feels almost the same as the factory that I rode last year. Admittedly, I rode that in a group ride and I wasn't going as fast as I normally would down a road. But yeah, this hasn't got electronic suspension. That is a big difference between this and the factory. This has got regularly adjustable suspension. I can't remember who it's by. I think the shock's by Sachs. It's got the same brakes as the factory, I think. They are superb. But yeah, you do just want to be wearing one-piece leathers for this and trying to get your knee down, wheelie out there. You can turn the wheelie control down. You can adjust the traction control levels using little paddles by your thumb and forefinger, which is very similar to what KTM does on the Super Duke and my Super Adventure. That noise is intoxicating. You think you've reached the meat of the power because this V4's got a big broad spread of power, but no, it keeps revving to 12,500 RPM, and your brain is telling you to shift by 9, and if you twist the throttle all the way to the stop and hit the red line, you're going crazy fast, even in second gear. And I guess that's part of the reason I preferred the Super Duke to this last year, because that has more accessible silliness on the road, whereas this is a little bit more top-endy, but there's still a lot of mid-range there to play with, and the noise at any revs is just exotic. Oh, what an engine! What an engine! It's actually nice to know that I'm going to be living with this for a week, because I've never spent much quality time with this engine. I kind of want to get to know it, and also its appetite for fuel, but it reckons I've averaged 43 mpg, and before I got to where I started this video, I was mostly in second gear enjoying the noise. Oh no, I'm going to have to rotate some stuff. Love that. The way it pulls 30 mile an hour in third gear to, I imagine, well north of 3 figures is deeply impressive. Yeah, cool. So this is, as I said, just the first impressions of this bike, and I just want to share my enthusiasm. It's my day off. go and play on a 173 horsepower Italian bike. Things could be worse. I haven't discovered any niggles with this yet, other than the fact that it doesn't have heated grips. But you know, that's old man problems, isn't it? You feel so naughty. Does sound like on a MotoGP bike. It is an intoxicating noise. It's like a, I don't know, it's hard to describe really. Hopefully you can just hear it, so I don't have to do any purple flowery metaphors like it sounds like the Pope strangling 3 cats while a dog nibbles on his scrote. It does sound a bit like that, but at least I don't have to say it. Now I should mention, because it is relevant, this is quite a lot cheaper than the factory version. It is £15,500, and that is about £2,600 less than the factory version with the electronic suspension, the more aggressive riding position. Oh, I think this also has a longer 6th gear as well. Details, I like that. So yeah, £2,600. Again, Aprilia is slightly one of those brands where you can often find deals on their bikes, but not as much as KTM, I would say. For 15.5 grand, I guess, if we were comparing this to other sports tourer type bikes, things like the Z1000SX and the BMW S1000XR, this is a bit more expensive and doesn't have electronic suspension like the BMW has. But it's got that engine, which kind of makes up for it. So I give it some stick in 2nd gear. I think we should, shouldn't we? We've got anti-wheelie on 1, so I'm just gonna... Oh my goodness, it is so quick! Oh. This feels really solid as well. The suspension, it's direct, it's firm, and it's definitely derived from a super bike. I mean, the chassis is, but it's well damped and it's not doing my bumming yet. I definitely feel like I could do some big miles on this. Wouldn't that be a great thing to have a Tuono as your touring bike? I don't know what the fuel range is like. These used to be terrible, but I think that's improved quite a lot. Now it's obviously it's Euro 5 now. It's all modern, but you can stick a loud exhaust on, and then sit outside your local biker cafes, going like all the knobs seem to do in Surrey. Sorry. Bikers unite. And yes, you're the sort of person that can't start their bike without a million revs, just to confuse the fuel injection. Now down low, the engine on this does have a little coarseness to it, so I'm talking 2nd gear at 27 miles an hour. But when you do gas it, it kind of grumbles a bit and then growls like it doesn't really want to go, and then it goes. It really grows, and it spins up so fast. It feels like it's got no inertia to it. It feels like it doesn't have a flywheel, or if it does, it's made out of papier-mâché. It's just super revvy, and I'm a little bit in love already, to be honest. Do I say that about every bike I review? Hopefully I'm being, you know, objective, but... Wibble. That's a prison. It's a very nice looking prison. Hope I don't end up there. One other negative of this bike, back brake's not very good. Anyway, I know this is a first impressions video on the Tuono, but I thought I'd catch you up as well. Hopefully you're all keeping sane and everything is going swimmingly in your lives. It's been a bit busy on the old motorbike channel. I've probably put out too many videos, but I'm enjoying it and you can't stop me. It does mean that my car channel has been slightly quieter than usual. Oh, look, a corner. Oh dear. Oh yeah, 2nd gear coming up corners with the bars going like that is quite exciting. I just want more noise without having to go quite so fast. That is the only downside. A YouTube bike, this is not. When I say YouTube bike, I mean a bike that I can film making lots of lovely noise without going much faster than the posted speed limit. I get why people put loud exhausts on these. Oh, that blipper. Oh, okay, it feels slightly weird going down to first at 55 miles an hour, but that's dangerously addictive, that noise. That noise is dangerously addictive, and like all Aprilias, you get the hazard lights flashing when you brake hard. But yeah, sorry, I was saying, thank you for watching all the stuff that I've been putting out lately. I know there's been a lot of content coming up, going out. There's been Tiger 1200 done to death. I've done 3 videos on that. Did my first impressions as a review, which goes up in 10 minutes, actually, it's scheduled. And I've also filmed a very silly, unprofessional comparison of that Tiger 1200 Rally Explorer with my KTM 1290 Super Adventure S. And it's a new kind of format of video. There's not actually any riding in it. I think that might put people off. It's me prancing about in front of the camera, quite literally. I got a friend to come and film it for me. Just to see if people like that sort of thing. If no one watches it, I won't do it again, sorry. Bit of an experiment, and half of YouTube is just trying to work out what works. On the car channel, I've got that sort of stuff. That's normal family cars, electric cars, they do well. Sporty stuff does not. On the bike channel, it seems to be Triumph does well for me, BMW does well for me, Ducati and KTM do well for me. Aprilia did okay, the Tuareg. We'll see how this does. If you've watched this with your eyes, hit like, etc, etc. But yeah, it's a funny old world, YouTube, and as I've said many times on my car channel, I'm very glad I'm not doing this as a full-time job on YouTube, even though it sometimes feels like it. I'm glad I'm not relying on YouTube's money to feed my children. And I did do a Q&A on my car channel, so go and check that out. I sat in the services on the M1 and got a bit philosophical about life, YouTube, my career, talked about where I've worked before and where I've come from and why I've suddenly appeared getting on people's YouTube recommendation lists. And I also answer some questions about getting into motoring journalism and about the differences between motorbike launches and car press launches and that kind of stuff. I thought it was quite an interesting video. I knew no one would watch it, but it was worth doing. This thing is sodding brilliant. Right here, right now, on this road, in this weather, I am wondering why you would spend more money on the factory. Yeah, this is not a junior bike by any stretch of the imagination. It just doesn't look as sexy, I guess, as the factory. People in the UK like their bling, don't they? They like their Erlin suspension. They like knowing that they've got the best version of a bike. Maybe this is actually the best version of the Tuono. It's just cheaper, but it's not going to appeal to the one-piece leather weekend burnout in a car park knuckle draggers, is it? Maybe it will, after I've convinced them all by offending them. Anyway, that's probably enough waffle from me. First impressions of the Tuono V4, sorry, the V4 Tuono, was it, I can't remember. Either way, it doesn't have the word factory in it, so I'm going to call it the non-factory, just to be clear. It's sodding great. It's very, very fast, very composed, and I like it a lot. No, I'm not going down there. Sorry, I've got Google Maps in my head. Got to do my photo by the Brill sign before I run out of petrol. Anyway, see you later. Like, comment, subscribe, go to the comments, and call me the Italian word for bumhole.